This podcast does not contain spoilers.
So the
It
rest...
was just so funny because I was like, just tell us everything. And then you started telling me everything. And I was like, I should have put some guardrails on that one. the scene opens up. I'm like, oh no. Nope.
Welcome to Microsodes. So we're back with another episode of Microsodes.
Heck yeah. We got an awesome one for you guys today. It's called The Fountain of Youth. Not to be confused with any of the movies by Pirates of the Caribbean.
Exactly.
This is a brand new movie.
Brought to you by...
Apple TV Plus.
Nice.
Oh yeah. So here are the movie details. The name of the movie is The Fountain of Youth. Excuse me. It's Fountain of Youth.
Oh, it's not The Fountain of Youth?
It is not. I looked it up, so I made sure to write it down exactly as it's spelled out.
Thank you for saying that, because I also have on my notes, I literally wrote The Fountain of Youth.
See, I knew we made that mistake in Fall Guy, so I wanted to make sure that I did not do it.
In what?
The Fall Guy. See how easy it is out there, people that are listening. And so it really is Fountain of Youth for everyone that's out there. So its release date was May 23rd of 2025. The genres that it kind of covers are action, adventure, fantasy, and mystery. Has a runtime of 2 hours and 5 minutes. Its rating is PG-13. Also, like we just said, the platform that you can watch it on, and also the distributor or Apple TV Plus. And the director is Guy Ritchie, which, a couple interesting facts, he has made a ridiculous amount of movies and TV shows, but some of the ones that he's made are Snatch, Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels, both the Sherlock Holmes movies, The Man from U.N.C.L.E., and the one that I've been watching most recently that he's done is Mobland. That's on Paramount Plus. Also, we might do a quick draw on that, but if not, I would highly recommend it. Tom Hardy, Pierce Brosnan, Helen Mirren, the list kind of goes on, and the Guy Ritchie film. It's our series. It's pretty great.
Cool.
But that's what I would say about the director, Guy Ritchie.
So, what about the rest?
That's it. Now it's time for you to watch
watch the trailer.
Preview, the trailer.
Okay. I'm going to watch the trailer, and then I'll see you on the other side.
And we're back.
So, after watching the trailer for the movie Fountain of Youth, available on Apple TV Plus.
Plus only.
Exactly.
Just think of it like a battery. No negatives, only pluses.
Okay.
None of that makes sense.
And that's why it's a riddle.
Exactly.
The trailer looked very epic. I feel like it reminds me of a movie like National Treasure.
Right.
Or The Da Vinci Code. I haven't seen The Da Vinci Code, but I'm going based on what the synopsis is that I've heard in the past.
See, people, this is what I'm dealing with.
There was a lot of action and a lot of really cool places. They were talking about going to 5 different countries, I think, or continents.
Yes.
And it just looked very visually appealing. So I'm excited to watch it.
Awesome. Well, I don't think that you said anything that was groundbreaking specifically with the trailer.
Oh, should I have told you what I think the story's about? Am I supposed to tell you that? Or am I just saying like, oh, I'm just really excited to watch the trailer?
No, you're supposed to tell us what you think the story's about. That's like the whole thing. because you're supposed to watch this and tell us what you think. And then I tell you how close the synopsis is. That's kind of like one of our hooks, right?
Yeah.
Oh, wow, we're going to listen to what I actually thinks this is about. Oh, wow, it looks like it's about sea monsters and sea monkeys. And then all of a sudden I'm like, no, it's about magicians. Something you're like, oh, I never would have saw that. That's what like the hook is.
Oh, I keep thinking, oh my gosh, I got to make this as short and concise as possible so I don't have to do as many edits.
Don't get into your head. Okay, now tell us exactly what you thought about when you watched the trailer. Everything, the story, everything.
So the film trailer opens up with a giant logo that immediately reminds me of the Electric State, except it's backwards.
Oh, okay.
They had very like three-dimensional looking letters that had, I think, yellow outlines and gray in the middle. Anyway, I'm so sorry. It's the opposite of Electric State, and that was the biggest thing that I remember from the trailer. I'm so sorry. I know I should be thinking about the story, but all I could think of is the Electric State. So the rest...
It's just so funny because I was like, just tell us everything, and then you started telling me everything, and I was like, I should have put some guardrails on that one. The scene opens up. I'm like, oh, no. Nope.
So basically in the trailer, they say that they're going to find the Fountain of Youth.
Mm-hmm.
And John Krasinski's character and Natalie Portman seem to be siblings.
Okay.
I believe that he will be on a quest with his team to go find the Fountain of Youth. And she is going to be reluctant but very eager to go find it with him. Whether they find it, I don't know.
Well, I hope you don't know. Then how would they... What kind of movie would we be watching?
See, there's the catch. At least this trailer didn't give away too much.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we obviously know that it's the Fountain of Youth. That's the movie's title. So that's obviously what they're going to go find.
Right.
I guess I don't know their motivations, but I also don't know if they found it, which is good. And that means it's a good trailer.
Fantastic.
The reason I say it's a good trailer is because we've watched a lot of different trailers before. And immediately we know everything about the movie because it's 5 minutes and it tells you everything. Like even the stupid backstory parts.
I'm going to throw this out there, and this is going to be this isn't going to be controversial for anybody that actually like thinks about it in terms of movies. So here's the thing. If you see a trailer that's longer than 2 minutes and 45 seconds, you're going to see the entire movie in it. That's just rule number one.
I agree.
Because if it's 3 minutes plus, they're trying to get you to bite on whatever it is that they're selling, and it's probably not going to be great. I'm just going to throw it out there for you guys. This is just a made-up one, but it shows, there's ghosts in a house. Oh, these people moving.
Set the scene. This is a hypothetical trailer that tells you too much.
Right. Hypothetical trailer that's going to give too much away.
So then you won't need to watch the movie.
Right. So just as an example, a couple drives up to a house that's haunted, and they're like, I can't believe your Aunt Gertrude, who we never met, like left you this house. And they go in, and there's ghosts there. We'll just say. And it's a comedy,
so
like family movie. Oh, the kids are like loving the ghosts because the ghosts are helping out.
Yay!
But then there's like an evil realtor that found out that there's like, I don't know, gold or something buried in the basement, oil land that somebody needs. Or you know what? This is what it would be. It would be a realtor that needs the land because like a convenience mall is going to be like needs that one plot for like a water resource. And then so it shows the evil person knocking on the door. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm going to have to... I don't know why they're British. I'm so sorry. By the way, that was my terrible British accent. Anyway, they knock on the door and they say like, oh yeah, the sale didn't go through. Actually, it was gifted to this other person. And then the ghosts are like, no, we know this lady. She's so mean. I can't believe it. And then she hires some actor to try to act like somebody who's on the family. But then the kids are able to see the ghost, and the kids are like, no, that isn't our uncle. It's some hired actor.
No, that is not Uncle. That's some hired actor.
And then they show them like pulling a whole bunch of hijinks. And at the very end, it looks like they're shaking hands with the police officer. But they put it before the end of the trailer. So you don't know where it is. But really, they showed you the end of the movie, too. And then that's the end of the trailer. And it would probably be like, I don't know, spooky spaces. Because you're a realtor and you rent and you, like, I don't know, sell houses.
You sell spooky spaces.
Spooky spaces.
It's kind of like trading places.
And
but
it's kind of like
not...
Nathan for you. With a spooky realtor.
Oh, yeah. The ghost realtor.
Anyway. Okay. Should I read the synopsis?
Yes.
Well, you're pretty spot on with your review of the trailer. Here's the synopsis. Two estranged siblings join forces to seek the legendary Fountain of Youth. Using historical clues, they embark on an epic quest filled with adventure. If successful, the mythical fountain could grant them immortality. End of synopsis.
Well, I guess I should have thought about that before because when I heard obviously the title Fountain of Youth, and they talked about the Fountain of Youth in the trailer, that's what they're going to find. I immediately think, oh, they just want to look young forever. But we're talking about like immortality.
Yeah, I get where you're coming from though, because I mean, there's probably been a bunch of billionaires that are constantly searching for something like that because they want to be younger or live forever.
Mm-hmm.
But there's also some people that just might want to turn it into some kind of like cream that you could put on your face and look younger.
And then there are some that give you 2-cent cream. I'm so sorry. Never mind.
2 cent?
I was going to say really cheap cream
that's
and then
48 cents. That's 48 cents less than what I thought it was going to be.
Oh, good.
Go, shorty. It's your birthday because it's 50 cents.
Oh, right. Okay.
Anyway. All right. You ready to watch this bad boy?
Yes. Let's do it. We'll see you
after the show.
So we just watched the movie Fountain of Youth.
All right. Well, I didn't get any younger by watching that movie. But here is what I have down for the story. So I rated the story a 3.8. I think the reason why I didn't rate it higher is because I've seen so many of these movies, kind of what you alluded to at the very beginning when you were first talking about what the trailer reminded you of. I've seen The Da Vinci Code. I've seen National Treasure. Indiana Jones is something that we grew up on. Then you have movies like Uncharted. The list keeps going on and on. And so I feel like I've seen this concept before. And I think I would have rated just a little bit higher in story if they would have done something different with the ending. Because I felt like they had a really good kind of
concept, idea.
Yeah, concept and mixture of things. It seemed very like, okay, well, and I think maybe that's just what happens with these kinds of movies is you just go from one clue to the next, which is a lot of fun for the audience because you're just sitting there wondering what's the next clue? Who's going to solve it? How's that going to go? So I really enjoy that. I just feel like with a lot of the movies that we've been watching recently that they have great stories, but they don't know how to end them.
Okay.
And so that's a reason why I didn't rate it as high, or I guess higher than what I did. If the ending had been different, I think it would have been into the 4s for me for story, but I just didn't really care for the ending.
Okay, I can see that. I rated story a 3.8.
Wow, just like me.
Exactly like you, which is crazy.
I know, that never normally happens. think sometimes we've gotten close in a few categories, but never, at least not that I can recall, the same score.
Probably one of the 5s in the Fall Guy.
Huh.
I mean, that was a pretty good one.
You're probably right
That was
about
a pretty
that.
good one. Okay. I think the story was very engaging.
Okay.
Like, it had me interested throughout.
Okay.
However, the story felt somewhat predictable.
Like you always knew what the ending was going to be?
Well, I don't know the ending, but there are so many movies like it. Like, Jungle Cruise reminded me of this movie because it reminded me specifically, I mean, just because they're going on an adventure, obviously.
Right.
But they also have the hopeful protagonist and the skeptic realist. You know, they both have that type of
character. And there was a brother-sister combination,
was
too.
It?
Yeah, so the Emily Blunt's character
was... yes!
Yeah. So, I mean, that's even closer than probably what you were thinking.
Yeah, that is crazy. So, because it was so similar to a movie like that or National Treasure, like they're going on an adventure, it seemed like we've seen it before.
Right.
And what I want to say specifically is that the storyline was predictable.
Mm-hmm.
However, the events that guided the story were unique.
Okay, so you're saying, like, because obviously we're not going to ruin anything. They're collecting clues to try to look for the Fountain of Youth.
Right.
And that's not the name of the movie. The movie is Fountain of Youth, but they're looking for the Fountain of Youth.
Exactly.
So I get what you mean. It's like, one clue leads into another, and that part is kind of interesting.
Yeah.
And the way that they solve those things.
And the interactions and people that they encounter along the way.
Sure.
Those are all different, and I thought that was really cool. So I rated it a 3.8 because I wanted it to be above average, but I don't know if it was all there. So ultimately, although it was predictable, it had really cool and unique events leading up, and that was interesting to me.
Yeah, I hadn't seen it the way that they did it. I mean, obviously in all the other movies that are out there, there's certain like traps or maps or puzzles for people to solve, but I hadn't seen it this way, so I agree with you. I'm going to move on to acting if that's okay with you.
Please.
Awesome. So I gave acting a 3.0. The reason for this was I felt like the acting as a whole wasn't bad necessarily. I was just kind of, I guess this is just a personal critique, and I guess that's the reason why you guys listen to this if you want to listen to what I have to say. John Krasinski did a really good job of trying to get himself away from being Jim in The Office.
Mm-hmm.
He made Quiet Place. He's been in 13 Hours. He made Jack Ryan, right? He's supposed to be like this
action guy,
and not necessarily he doesn't need to be serious the entire time, but he becomes serious in these roles because he wants to be taken seriously. And I get that. You can't be the funny guy forever. But in this, it kind of seemed like he tried to be like Chris Pratt, like Ryan Gosling, Ryan Reynolds, like, oh, I'm the jokey, funny guy. Like, I'm the action guy, but I'm also like super sarcastic, and I'm Jim from The Office, but I'm also a badass. And it kind of just rubbed me the wrong way. I don't know why. I just didn't like it because he's done so much work to not be that person. So it just, I was like, I don't know if this was necessarily the role for him. Maybe it should have been a Ryan Reynolds if he had the time to do it. I don't know. But it was kind of a little bit weird. And then I wrote down that it was kind of the same with Natalie Portman and Eiza González and Stanley Tucci. It just seemed like they were kind of playing caricatures of themselves. Like Natalie Portman, I've seen her be that character before, and it's just kind of like, eh. And then with Stanley Tucci, I was like, why did you even have him in this movie? But then it also reminded me of the Electric State character that he was.
Mm-hmm.
And the same thing for Eiza González. Like, she's a great actress, great in Baby Driver, and a lot of other things that I've seen her in. But it's just like, are you now the new Michelle Rodriguez of like the movie world?
Of action?
Yeah.
Like Gal Gadot?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I just, like, I don't like people being typecast back into those
cliche roles.
Yeah, that they've already kind of acted themselves out of. You don't have to put yourself in that situation. But I mean, I guess when they back up to your house with a truckload of money, you just say, sure, I'll sign here. Like, it's easy for me to say that. But I just think that the acting could have been a little bit better. Like, even Mother's Milk, I can't remember what that guy's name is from The Boys. They barely used him. And that guy seemed like he was going to be a great actor.
Yeah.
But then the guy...
I like that girl, too, and we really rarely saw either of them.
Right. And then you had the guy who's the Interpol agent. That guy was so over the top.
Yeah.
Like, what's going on? Oh, I like your houndstooth. I wrote that, and I'm like, what?
You're right.
Yeah, it just... There's too much stuff that was going on that I really didn't enjoy as far as the acting portion of it. I would have given it a higher rating if people would have stayed true to maybe what their characters were, but that's kind of what I wrote it out as.
I like it. How I scored the next category is very similar, not similar to your analysis.
Okay.
Because I wrote a lot of those notes in writing and dialogue.
Okay. I get where you're coming from. Okay. So, I can see it's kind of a blend of both. Right.
So I wrote for acting 4.6.
Whoa.
I know. And the reason I did that is because I was like, oh, the main characters, they're good. They always like feel like their roles. The only person
so interesting. Okay.
that didn't, well, not really. Yeah, I mean, everyone just seemed kind of natural to me.
Okay.
They were just a couple characters that I guess were fine.
Okay. Well, I mean, if that's what you think, then more power to you. I just didn't see it that way, and maybe it's because I've seen a lot of these people in different films, and so I was just hoping for, like I said, they kind of like play their way out of these things. And then I don't know if maybe they go too far out, so then they have to go back to their roots. I'm not 100% sure.
And that's nuts, because that's pretty much what I wrote for writing and dialogue.
Oh, okay. All right, so next up is writing and dialogue. I gave this category a 3.0. I said there's a couple points in the movie where the dialogue kind of slows down, but overall they did a pretty good job. Two of the notable quotes that were in there was, it's about the journey, not the prize at the end. And then some things you can't explain, you can only experience. Which I was like, it's kind of a good message just all the way around.
I agree.
But there was also a lot of throwaway dialogue that doesn't really advance the story. Like them talking about like how he's attracted to the girl who's trying to stop him. There's just like a lot of banter about those kinds of things, and then about Natalie Portman's son and all these things that are going on. There was a lot of throwaway dialogue in it as well. So I wish I could have given it higher points, but it just seemed like they added stuff in dialogue wise and diatribe wise to kind of lengthen the movie. So I couldn't give him a higher score on that.
That makes sense. I rated writing and dialogue a 3.2.
Okay, pretty close then.
Yeah, so I said the writing was intelligent. Like, a lot of the conversations they were having were very, I don't know, academic.
Yeah, there was a lot of historical, I wrote that in there too. There's a lot of historical facts that went along with what they were putting together.
Right, and even if the writers didn't know that, they still had to look up this information. It was just, like, a lot of these scripts barely have writing.
Right.
So this one, not only did they entertain us, but they also educated us.
Hey, that's a great point.
That's what I thought. However, I didn't like the comedic writing.
Yeah.
It sounded like Ryan Reynolds.
I don't know why. I don't know if that's like the thing now, but
yeah,
a lot of those movies that they put out just have that kind of, I mean, maybe it's because they get a ton of downloads and people watch them all the time, so why not? But yeah, it's like some point you have to be a little bit serious.
Yeah, and a lot of the comedic lines just felt unnatural. It didn't feel, I don't know, like any of the characters believed it, but also I couldn't imagine anyone saying those lines believing it.
Right.
It's kind of like, oh, this is how a comedic actor says things in a classic comedy of the 2020s. So we're going to make our actor, because it's going to have a great box office revenue. I don't know. Great box office revenue. I'm so sorry. Anyway, I gave it a 3.2. I would have given it a 3. However, they had an extensive vocabulary. So I added a 0.2 because the vocabulary was extensive.
Yeah, and you really do appreciate the English language.
Oh, yes.
All right, so for direction, I gave it a 4.5. Anything that Guy Ritchie does, I shouldn't say anything, but most things that Guy Ritchie does have a style that's really appealing to me. There isn't a whole lot of like waste. The way that he does his graphics, the set design, the location, the way that he wants the actors to move, the way he wants the stunts and the practical effects to look. When you see a Guy Ritchie film, you know it's a Guy Ritchie film. If you've seen, like I said, Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels, or either one of the Sherlock Holmes movies, King Arthur. What's the other one that I'm thinking missing? Snatch. If you've seen any of those movies, you know what you're going to get, and he does it so incredibly well. And I think he did it incredibly well in this movie too. So I don't know if the writing and everything else could have been one thing, but you always know what you're going to get with him, and audiences know what they can expect.
I like it.
Thank you. I appreciate that. You're being very chatty tonight.
Like last time.
Yeah. So, how about you? What did you give direction?
So for direction, I gave it a 4.6.
Okay, pretty close.
The first thing I wrote in my notes was great stunt choreography.
Okay.
And I really liked the visual direction of the entire movie.
Mm-hmm.
He had different visuals, different aspects of, like, I don't know, the way the scenes transitioned. It just flowed really naturally, and I liked the direction they had behind a lot of the fight scenes.
Yeah.
And one part had like a sonic boom type of thing, and the whole like screen shook.
Right.
And I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then there was slowed down audio while they were thinking about something.
Mm-hmm.
And so I thought that was cool too. Like different effects that also added to the direction.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, that's something that you get with a Guy Ritchie movie. He really does know what audiences like to see, and he does a really great job of it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm glad that we were on the same page with that, because, like I said, I really enjoy a lot of his films, and obviously huge fan of Mobland. So
yeah.
Awesome. So let's head on over to visuals. We're going to go down to aisle 5, because this is our last category before the big reveal of our overall score. So for visuals, I gave it a 4.5.
Okay.
There were a lot of practical effects with a little bit of CGI, but I felt like they blended it. They took a lot of time to blend it really well together. And there's a lot of things that I wrote down throughout the movie, but what I said it reminded me of, like almost like the set pieces were like Indiana Jones. It just reminded me of those kinds of like chases and car scenes and fight scenes, and the choreography to the driving to, all those old school practical effects. And they used a little bit of quote unquote movie magic is what they called it at the time. We know it now as CGI, but it's a really good blending of those effects. And I thought that they did it here with the visuals really, really well. And I liked all the set designs and locations. Thought they did an excellent job.
I like that. I scored visuals a 4.8.
Okay.
I think there were great camera shots and angles, and I kind of discussed that in direction.
Right.
What I liked was the cinematography. I liked that you could see every place they went to in the most beautiful way.
Mhm.
Like they said in the trailer they go to Egypt and see the pyramids. It was in the trailer, so I'm going to say it.
Right.
But just the way they filmed the pyramids, like from far away, and like just the angles made it look so beautiful.
I agree.
It just everything was super bright. It was super saturated. So
Yeah.
I really like that. We could see everything all the time, even if they were in a really dark scene.
Yeah, that's I hadn't thought about that, but you're right. That's one of those that's one of the brightest movies that we've seen in a while. So, yeah, hats off to them.
Yeah, I think it was just visually stunning to me.
Okay.
And I said especially I liked the angles of the car scenes. And and the destiny. Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
So that's what I scored for visuals.
Aces. Okay. Well, do you want to tell everybody about the new format?
Sure.
Okay.
So there are a lot of times where I take notes because I see things that might not fit into the categories. And so I asked Bobby, and he said,
yes, what can I do for you? No, we discussed it, and what the compromise was that we're going to have a preliminary score, which is basically, if you've been listening to the way that we rate each one of the categories, that's going to be the preliminary score.
Yeah, the average of our scores for all those 5.
Correct. But then we're going to give you our overall final score based upon maybe some things that don't really necessarily fit into those categories.
Exactly.
At all. So there might be things where Ashley might say, oh man, I knew that girl that was in this one time, and maybe I'll throw in an extra point here because I knew somebody from that. Or I might say, oh shoot, that's like an Easter egg from Back to the Future. I can't believe that they use like a hoverboard. So it might be something like that. Maybe a little Easter egg that we find in there, and it's like, oh wow, that boosts it up a little bit.
Exactly.
It could be something like that, or it could be something that's kind of a little bit negative. Hey, I wasn't really a huge fan of this, or maybe there was something that, I don't know, just didn't fit into the movie that kind of seemed forced in there and didn't go into one of our categories.
Right. I mean, it might not even change our score. It might just be things that are noteworthy that you wanted to mention. And it's like, yeah, I mean, my preliminary score actually matches my overall, even with these bullet points.
Yeah. And it might just be, like you said, stuff that we notice. It might not change anything.
Yeah.
But it could change a score. It might not. It might raise, lower, or leave the same.
Nice. This is your preliminary score, remember?
Right. So, for my preliminary score, I gave this movie a 3.76.
Okay.
So, the reason why I think I did that was because of the acting portion of it and the writing and dialogue portion of it kind of brought it down for me a little bit. But what I'm going to say is, after hearing what you said to be, throughout the podcast, and then thinking back on it, because in my notes I wrote, it's one of those movies that is just like a stereotypical action adventure mystery kind of film. But I thought that they did a really good job of filming it. So that's the reason why I gave it kind of a lower score. But after hearing what you're saying, I think I'm going to bump it up to a 4.0. And
Nice.
I think I would highly recommend, if you have Apple TV Plus, to watch it at least once.
Mm-hmm.
But I wouldn't say that that would be a movie that I would ever see again. And that's the reason why I can't go any higher with it. Because I think once you've seen it,
Yeah.
I don't know if you need to see it again.
I agree.
Okay. Well, thank you for agreeing with me. I mean, it's my opinion, so.
Well, I guess I already showed my cards.
Played your hand?
If I said I agree.
Oh, yes.
Because My preliminary score for Fountain of Youth
Mm-hmm.
was 4.2.
Okay.
And thinking about it as a whole, I was actually going to eliminate 0.2 points. I don't know what it is because, but then it's like the visuals. I feel like the story, the acting, and the writing was just a little flat for me. I mean, the story was interesting, but it just seemed like it fell.
Like I said, I would have given it a much higher score if they had completed the ending.
Yeah.
For me, that's just kind of what I walked away from the movie just wanting something more. I know that there's a different way to have written that because they kind of, sort of took a bunch of ideas from Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, which is, if you guys know that, that's the third one with Harrison Ford and Sean Connery. They were searching for the Holy Grail. Kind of something similar in what ended up happening in this movie. So you could tell that they borrowed ideas, but they also couldn't figure out a great way to finish it. At any rate, they had all these movies to pull stuff from, and they just couldn't figure out a good way to end it. So that's the reason why I couldn't go too much further with bumping up their score.
I think you've summed it up perfectly. And I actually completely agree with everything you said tonight.
Wow. Well, not on acting,
I think
not on acting and writing and dialogue,
but
we ended up at the same end score, so that's kind of interesting.
Because I put acting in writing and dialogue.
Right. Okay.
So I think that's probably why.
Well, hey, we got there. We got to the same score, 4.0. Would you recommend people watch this?
Yeah.
Once, kind of like what I was saying?
Yeah. Now, you know what? It was visually and directionally so good that it might make it worth watching again.
Okay.
Only because the shots and the direction were so good.
Okay, I can see that.
It was like a beautiful movie to watch, not to like take part of.
Not to necessarily enjoy.
I mean, not
just
that.
To look at.
No. I mean, like it's a good movie to enjoy.
Right.
It's a good movie that I think a lot of people would enjoy.
Like I said, I think it's one that you watch once. I don't know if you would watch it multiple times. You said that you might, so that's cool. I just think, like I said, I've seen it before, and now that I know what it is, I don't know if I would go out of my way to watch it again. But you're right. If I was over at someone's house and it was on, I wouldn't be mad that it was on or be like, can we turn on something else?
It's a good way of putting it.
Yeah. Thank you.
I would have to. I do the same.
Thank you very much for that. All right. Well, if you guys have gotten to this point, once again, as we say at the end of every single one of our microsodes, thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for tuning in. Hopefully you guys are having a great weekend or weekday,
start to your week.
or day or night or middle of your week, beginning of your week, end of your week. We just really appreciate you guys so much. Okay.
It's been a show.
Thank
you.
See you. Yeah, I
No,
pointed to
you already said we thank you.
No. I said we thank you.
I know.
But I was pointing to you because I thought you were going to say your goodbye because I talked a lot.
Oh, you do talk a lot.
I already talked a lot.
Oh, I have to now?
You had to say goodbye and like something.
Goodbye. I did that one on purpose.
Okay.
I thought that would be really funny. Thanks for tuning in, and we will see you next time on
Microsodes.